Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian on nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 712. Black people is not a nationality. Definitely thank everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate it. If you'd like to get a consultation after you listen to this, feel free to reach out. The email is christian@trustchristian.com. Christian@trustchristian.com. Definitely thankful for everyone that's reached out throughout all the years. We've been doing podcasts for a long time now, and we're comfortable and thankful. We have a huge audience. It crosses multiple barriers as far as nationality, and really, when it comes down to it, more so you would say colors and things of that nature. So this actually is an episode that's being done by request. We had someone reach out and ask us about nationality, and so for that reason, we want to talk about it today. Because we can talk about it. We have the descent, and so a lot of people sometimes are not understanding what a curse is, and a curse is basically something that is counterproductive. So calling yourself a crayon is counterproductive in the world standing. Why? Because there are nations and they've been identified, and there is no nation of black people. See how that works? So some people say, well, what about the designation? There's been a designation, a legal classification on these people now. Let's talk about that. Because it's a legal classification. See, the powers that be, they're only in control of people that are ignorant. The powers that be only regulate people that go by that designation. If you go by the designation of black, then you are what a black person gets afforded. What standing do they have in law? But for some odd reason, the so-called African indigenous descent lawyers, they go to law school and they forget about who they are. Because last time we checked, there is no such thing as a black person. So for that reason, you all have to have conversations, the ones that consider yourselves black or African indigenous descent, you have to have conversations with the lawyers and let them know we have to become better by putting ourselves in a position where we're not labeled a crayon, where we're not labeled a what? A color. Why? Because when you go internationally, what are you going to say you are? A black person? Or are you going to say I'm an American? Which actually is basically, they're trying to say it's the United States, because America is a continent. You got South America and Central America. But most people, when they travel internationally, when you go into the international standings, when you talk about international dealings, they're going to ask you, are you from the territory of the United States, which is part of the Americas? That's how that works. So when you read a lot of successful people in history, you don't hear any of them say they're United Statians. They say their heritage, but they say they're an American. Now, we're going to continue with this and we're going to add some flavor to it, because there's this other term that the black people go by, which is African American, and that sits on public record too. So for it sitting on public record, there's no objection from these people right now. What legal lawsuit has been filed against the government that says these people need to be properly identified, so they're not identified as ex-slave property? How about that? So you can get rid of that curse that's on your back. And then you say, oh, well, I'm in a society, I really don't have much power, and if I have money, they still, the so-called Caucasian, he's still going to, white man, he's still going to take it away. We know we're having an open conversation. It may not be for everybody. This is for the individuals that requested the nationality episode. So if you're not into what we're talking about, it's okay. We know we talk about trust traditionally. You can go to another episode. We got over 500. But this one right here is for the individuals that want to say, okay, I know I'm not black. I know I'm not a crayon. Okay, we know you're not a crayon. When we say we, the ones of us that are educated, We are aware of that. The ones of us that have our proper standing in law, we're aware of that. Oh, Trust Christian, you don't understand. The United States is in a bankruptcy, and it was declared that they were in a bankruptcy. So, once again, there's a de facto government in place. We're aware of that. Yeah, bottom line. It's not a oh Trust Christian. We don't really know what. You don't know. We do know. We're not no agent. No one's employing us from no three-letter name or any of that. So y'all need to tighten up when y'all understand it. Okay, so you know you're not black. Okay, think about how many, ladies and gentlemen, for the ones of y'all that's really gonna take action, y'all gotta be strong for the brothers and sisters that's listening, the ones that actually hear this and they ain't gonna do nothing. They lazy. Oh man, I know I'm not black and they ain't gonna do nothing. They know they not African American, they not gonna do nothing. So for the ones of y'all that's gonna do something, that's Trust Christians group. That's who we talking to. But we know there's a lot that just want to listen. That's just real talk. Here we go. For the ones of y'all that know you're not black. I'm not black, Trust Christian. I'm not a crayon. You gotta stop identifying with it. Okay, well how do I do that? We're gonna get there. There's another term that's been thrown out there. Whether we can say this, it doesn't matter. It don't matter what it is. They are allowing that culture to be disrespected in the public as if they are a slave race still. Just by the terms that are allowed to be used against them and otherwise. So we can have the conversation candidly because there are slanders about them that are in the public and there is no three-letter name protecting them. Who's protecting them? The NAACP? How? They're supposed to be the lawyers. They're supposed to be promoting equality. How do you promote equality when you're labeled a crayon? You're not just labeled a person born here by birth, a person that's born by descent. You're an American. Simple as that. If every other culture is born into Americanism, you're born into Americanism. Why does it have? Are you a black American? So now we're identifying a group, a nationality into a subset, and in that subset, they call you a crayon. They don't call you an ancestry. They call you a crayon. Oh, you're a black. And for all the ones that want to adopt the white term, it's no different. But people want to say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Because why would you create a subset in a nation? When you go to Saudi Arabia, it's Saudi Arabia. When you go to Nigeria, it's Nigeria. When you go to these other cultures, now when you say, okay, they hyphenated through their descent. So African indigenous descent people, African indigenous descent. The world is aware of who African indigenous descent people are. They call it the diaspora. They understand that these people were acculturated. The world understands this. The ones of us that are educated, the ones of us that have our light on, we're awake. We're not sitting here calling people crayons. Internationally. Okay. So they go by African American in the United States. So they haven't really put a true country to it. So it's not like they're a Nigerian American or a Cameroonian American or a Ghana American or a South African American. You know, it's they're claiming in the states because maybe they have. Did you do your research? Did you research your ancestors? Oh no, Trust Christian, I don't believe in none of that. You can get off the channel. For the rest of y'all that understand you're not a crayon, you're gonna have to do some research. Trust Christian did the research. We ain't promoting the website, but Ancestry.com, we're not promoting that you get the cotton swab. We're not talking against the company either. For public record, we're just saying Ancestry, they actually allow you to track census records back. So if you have family members that have death certificates and all this other stuff, you can track back through the census records. And y'all can do the research. People can do the research. You gotta have some money maybe to do some research, but you can do the research. That's the challenge. Is people want to sit here and say, oh man, all right, I gotta pay to do research on my ancestors. Do you have a spiritual connection where they just telling you their name? You ain't no different than the other races. They got to tap into their ancestors to know their name. How they gonna know the name? They wrote it down. That's what they did. So are you gonna go and do the research? That's real talk. Oh man, Trust Christian did the research. No doubt about it. We got back to they getting off the slave ship. And that's just real talk. But at the end of the day, if you're not willing to do that research, that's fine. You just didn't do the research. So then you don't know the ancestors' names. You don't know what country they from or what boat they were boat on. You don't know the bloodlines, the histories, the ancestries. For public record. For public record. So, we're going to continue. Alright. The ones that's like, alright, Trust Christian, you know winning enough about I'm not black. I know I'm not black. Right. That's a curse. That's a curse. You think it's not a curse? Look at them. They changed their names 3 times in the country. They ain't got the same name. They started out as Negroes. Then they went to color. Now they call black. No, excuses. We skipped one. First they were called Negroes. Then they were called Afro Americans. They had afros. No, excuses. Negro, colored, Afro American, and now they black. And why? Because you letting other people dictate your culture. Somebody else get to call you what they want to call you. The culture might as well call themselves the N-word. Why? Because that's the word that's publicly used too now. They got other cultures using it on the public internet. That's a slander. But oh no, Trust Christian. We're a people. How? You're not even protected if another culture calls you that in public. That's a slander. That's anti-black. But oh no, Trust Christian, you know, we don't want you talking like that. No, we ain't got it together. We know. So how do you get it together? We already know it's going to be about 2%. Y'all want to go ahead and hear the numbers. Oh, Trust Christian, you got to save all of us like Jesus Christ came down off the cross. You got to save us, Trust Christian. You got to save us because, first of all, how you going to have any standing as a human when you don't have any standing in law? But y'all want to sit here and talk like that. How you going to have standing in law? How you have standing in law, Trust Christian? Well, the way you have standing in law is you got to have your legal status right. You probably could just do another episode about status correction. So that's what it is. People don't want to know. It's called a status correction. A lot of people ain't going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to do a status correction because they're okay with being cursed. They made a little bit of money as an indentured servant in the system. They don't understand what legal freedom is, let alone what economic freedom is, because they're different. Just like Negroes were in whatever you want to call them. We call them African indigenous descent people. These people, they were segregated and still made economic power. So it's not about it's not about, well, if you're saying, Trust Christian, if I don't go by black, then I'm not going to be economically free, because some of us are economically free. How are we not economically free? We are economically free to a degree, but at the end of the day, that's not legal status. That's not what we're talking about in this episode. So don't confuse it. Legal status and economic status are two different things. Do they go hand in hand? Sure. So okay, we're going to continue down this path because this is the episode that was requested. Trust Christian, you know, I know I'm not black. I need my status corrected. I need to figure out what nationality, what passport am I going to get. We're going to get there. So you got your legal status now. Okay. We're going to break it down because people come at us. First of all, it's not about the big name or the little name. Oh, Trust Christian, the government they got the birth certificate. The birth certificate is a legal instrument. It is. The birth certificate is a legal instrument. It's a financial instrument. But if it's a trust, per the Social Security Administration trust, what status are you in? Are you the trustee or the beneficiary? If the government made a trust for you, what position are you in? Are you the beneficiary or the trustee? Oh, I tried to name the government the trustee and this, that, and the third. How you gonna name the government the trustee and you ain't even the trustee? And you don't even know how to be the trustee. And don't know what status you in. So the status. Let's talk about the status of a what you would call a trustee. You're a trustee over your estate. If you know that the government's bankrupt, if you know that the government's a dead entity because it's a corporation, oh, the United States is a corporation. It's in D.C. and this, that, and the third. Okay, well, if the United States is a corporation, what are you? If the United States is the debtor, what are you? Oh, I'm the creditor, Trust Christian. Do you have any documentation that states that for the public record? Most don't. I'm trying to take over. I want to own my straw man. I want to take control of my straw man. I gotta own my straw man. What? You want to own it? See the mentality in the public? They want to own things, which means you have liability. So, oh, I gotta correct my status, Trust Christian in the vault. I know I'm not black. How do I correct my status? Your legal status. That's what you're talking about? Because you're making money being whatever you want to be, right? Right. So it's not economic status, it's legal status, right? So are you a beneficiary or are you the trustee? Y'all want to talk about trust? United States is a trust. We know that. We train our trustees into that thought process. We understand the trust contracts. So let's talk about it. If the United States is a trust, Social Security Administration is a trust, what's your status? Are you a beneficiary? Are you a trustee? Or are you the grantor? What type of trust is it? So some of y'all gonna come on, they gonna keep digging, they gonna keep digging. How do I correct my status? How do I correct what is a how do I get my national status correct? Okay, so your national status, let's talk about it, your nationality status. So if your nationality is not black, if your nationality is not black, then what is it? If the if your status is not black, what is it? Well, a living being, a sentient being, a flesh being. Yes. Is there a description of the body that they're occupying? Yes. So the body that they're occupying has a name, it has description, and they describe it. But it's your property. You're a steward of that property. So did you put a name, image, and likeness for the public record for people not to steal? Name, image, and likeness. In the commercial realm, for the public record, most haven't. But that's how it looks, ladies and gentlemen. Name, image, and likeness. So you're on public record now. I'm a living being, and I'm occupying a body, and this is what I'm doing. We are in the jurisdiction of America, or you're in the jurisdiction of whatever jurisdiction you're in. You travel from different jurisdictions, correct? Right. So a lot of people don't want to hear this because of the way the world's set up. There are multiple jurisdictions. Like, you don't want to go over to Dubai and try to play games like, oh, I don't know the law. Like, it's way too many stories of people going to foreign countries. You getting caught in Russia or Dubai, and they locking you up. They have a jurisdiction. So how are you gonna sit here and say, "Oh well, Trust Christian Revolt, I'm not aware of the laws of the jurisdiction that I'm in"? That's what it is. They don't want to hear that though. You have to be aware of the laws and the jurisdiction you're in. If you try to make it seem like you're not gonna adhere to the laws in that area, remember, for all of y'all that want to play this game, if you're gonna be in the common law realm, common law, the system has been built off of the people, which means the local people in the area actually have come up with those laws. So for you to go into an area and try to make your rules or laws in an area that has common law, which most people in that area agree to, you can always go in there and get your laws voted in, but you have to go into the group and have the group accept them. That's just tribalism. So we're having that conversation today. But for people to walk in ignorance and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna just go into this area and I'm not gonna adhere to their laws." Well, if you're not gonna adhere to the laws, because people try to say, "Oh, I'm a sovereign," and all that other stuff. You're a sovereign, or this, that, and the third. Nah, you none of that. You're a trustee. So we just want to go ahead and put everybody on notice. We're gonna do another episode. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna do an episode. Y'all can feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. We'll come back with how to correct your status. That's what we're gonna call it. How to correct your status. Cause a lot of people they oh man, what's the paperwork? Is it real paper? It's paperwork involved. Just like you got a birth certificate, you using a social security number, there's paperwork involved. So it is what it is if you don't want to be involved. But for the ones of y'all that want to be involved, y'all know. Church Christian, I knew this my whole life, man. It's got to be a remedy. Of course it's a remedy. Of course it's us. We're operating on the private side. We know who we are. We're operating on the private side. While the public ones, they want to be out here operating, calling themselves crayons in the public, talking about give me some daggone commercial remedy, give me some legal remedy, and all that other stuff. So we look forward to coming back, correcting your status, part 2 of this episode. Peace and joy.